10 years ago, I decided to pick up a book after leaving the organization that I belonged to for 37 years. And that book was The Power of Now from Eckhart Tolle. I read it, I understood nothing, I put it back on the shelf, and I didn't bother picking it back up until 2019 when I went through a spiritual awakening. This time, as I started to read the book, I understood a lot more of what it was that Eckhart was trying to get across. And so I took notes and underlined a lot of thoughts. But as most spiritual awakenings go, you become a sponge and you take on a lot of what is available out there. So it didn't really place any importance in my life at that time. But in 2022, I went through another significant life change, and that book came up again. So for the third time, I picked it up. And for the first time, I felt like I was reading it with a fresh new set of eyes. The words on the pages came to life, and suddenly I understood what it was that Eckhart was trying to get across. Then I started to put into practice some of the most significant practices that I understood would reveal something that was at play in my life, and that was the ego. I would have a much bigger opportunity to put that into practice in 2023 when I made a final decision to leave a difficult relationship. I had decided to go zero contact, take myself off for close to 2 months off of social media. I don't watch television, completely turned myself off from the outside world, and went in and decided to do what I called radical practice of presence. It was something that I was very focused on doing each and every single day, along with meditation and reading and watching things that I knew would help me figure out some of the more deeper aspects of myself that was contributing largely to the reason why I was having these difficult relationships in the first place. And so acceptance was definitely something that came into play with this power of presence. Why? Because I had come to a point in my life where I recognized that there was an aspect of me that was contributing to the relationships that I was having with men that were proving to be incredibly toxic. I wanted to know what that was. I wanted to know what that was because I wanted to start to take responsibility for it, because I never wanted to encounter another toxic relationship again. And the power of presence helped me to do that, because I was looking and seeing and accepting the truth about myself that was being shown. And I had some of the greatest epiphanies that I hadn't recognized up until then. Now, I had a couple of other healing modalities that I had been practicing and doing that helped significantly in my healing journey. But for me, the power of presence is much like an oven, and the other things are the ingredients. Once you take what it is that you have, mix it together, and put it into the oven of presence, you now have the final result, which is a beautiful cake. Without the oven, you just have the ingredients. And it's not enough until you bring in the power of presence that you understand how significant of a trifecta the power of presence can be in your life. And why is that? Because first and foremost, presence helps us to separate ourselves from the unconscious mind by being in the moment. Within that acceptance of the moment as it is, we create a pocket of stillness. That stillness creates separation between who it is we really are and who it is that we have thought we have been our entire lives, the unconscious part of us. It's the unconscious part of us that has a tendency to keep us attached to the stories that we create about ourselves. This is my life story. This is what happened to me. I am a victim. Something that we all do unconsciously. The problem with that is that we never truly ever heal ourselves because we become attached. We think that we are nothing without that attachment of that story. When we detach ourselves from that story, we also awaken to the deeper essence of who it is. Now we look back on those unconscious parts of us and realize that the things that happened to us were there to teach us something deeper about ourselves. But until we awaken to that deeper part of ourselves, we tend to keep ourselves in cycles that continue to happen over and over and over again. So being present means that we understand that there is only one moment in this life, and that is the current moment that we are living in. It does not mean that we don't come across difficulties in our life when we're living within the present moment, but it helps us to understand that there are answers to the difficulties that we face, because sometimes when we're unconscious when difficulties happen, we have a tendency to create mountains out of molehills. So what happens is we can take a step back, recognize what's happening, bring a certain amount of acceptance into our life, and then from there open ourselves to having the universe give us the solutions that are needed to fix the problems. And that is exactly what happened to me during those 2 months. I saw things that I was unable to see prior to that, because I took a step back, because I recognized that what was at play in my life was my ego. And when I became conscious of that, I separated myself from the ego and was able to reflect and look and see the areas that I needed to work significantly on. And so the last 10, 11 months of my life have been an incredible healing journey where I've accepted responsibility for a lot of the things that have gone on. It's also opened my eyes to a lot of the aspects of life that I feel that were indoctrinated in me, that I recognized that were no longer truths. Why? Because now I was able to have an experience of what life truly is, what life truly was intended to be. And it was through that experience that it really opened the door to helping me understand that life is more than the conceptual thinking mind that I had been governed under for most of my life was. And that is something that most people miss out on. The conceptual thinking mind, the parts of us that we identify with, that we think make us who we are, that are largely put into play due to society, due to the families that we grow up in, due to the geographical areas, really limit us in terms of the experiences that we are intended to have. We think that this little part of who we are is all there is. Until we release and let go of that and understand what the bigger picture of who we are is, we get stuck in that consistent circle of doing the same things, or a karmic circle, repeating behavioral patterns that we never get an opportunity or a chance to break out of. And so in 2023, I decided to become a teacher of presence. Why? Because the experience of being in presence helped me to significantly heal quicker and faster than I ever thought was possible. What probably would have taken many years happened within a matter of months for me. One, because I was willing to accept that I was ready to move forward. And two, because I was dedicated to having an experience that would change how I looked at the world. Not because it was told to me, not because I read it somewhere, but because I was willing to open the door to having that experience. And so it is my, not just belief, but my hope that I can help people who've been indoctrinated with many deep set beliefs about themselves due to religious trauma, how they can open up that door of having a different experience that will help them continue to live a life that is filled with peace, filled with calm, and filled with moments of joy in expectation of what's to come next. So starting next week, I will be doing videos with the indoctrination along with the practice of presence that will help you eliminate that indoctrination. And as always, much love and light.